Hello, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I have two Canadian whiskeys, both blended as the norm for one with an age statement, one without, one well known, one not well known. Both introduced in the 20th century. All right, here is a handle. It's got a handle on it. 1,750 milliliter bottle of Crown Royal Deluxe blended Canadian whiskey with the fancy bottle, beautiful plastic crown cap. Introduced in 1939 to honor the visit of King George VI, the King in Canada, and Queen Elizabeth, his wife, who died 19 years ago. He died 69 years ago. Crown Royal Fine Deluxe. Fine Deluxe. Blended Canadian whiskey, a product of the Crown Royal Distilling Company, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. But it's made in Manitoba. But it's actually Diageo. There is no company. The Crown Royal Company is a name of, it's just a marketing name for Diageo for this. They try to make it seem like it's its own company. Max Wolf. Good morning, Jay. Good morning to you, Max Wolf. Now, the competitor is McAdams. And I put a photo in Alcohol Legs. If you join Alcohol Legs on Facebook, I put a photo of the original bottle design, which had a deer out in the mountains in Canada, like a nature scene. But this is McAdams, introduced in 1987. It says premium quality blended Canadian whiskey, aged 36 months, which is the minimum. Mellowed and aged oak, meaning used oak. They don't have to age it in used oak, but they do typically. Has to be aged in oak, though, so that's a requirement. Product of Canada. Distilled and blended under supervision of the Canadian government. They don't even need to put that on the bottle because all Canadian whiskey or any Canadian liquor or beer or wine or meat products, for that matter, are produced under the supervision of the Canadian government. So it's sort of a redundant. It's a waste of label space. But they're trying to make it seem like, wow, this one's made under the supervision of the Canadian government, unlike those other ones, which are made under supervision of the Canadian government. All right, so it's showing McAdams here on the neck with this wax seal, but it's really not wax. Just made it look like that. Prestige Beverage Group of Princeton, Minnesota. Imported. So they show a maple leaf, two lions wearing a crown for the kingdom, the Dominion of Canada. They don't say kingdom because when they created Canada as a country in 1867, they wanted to call it the Kingdom of Canada. But then they said, oh, those Americans don't like kingdoms and they have a habit of attacking people. So they said, well, let's call it the Dominion of Canada, which means a kingdom. And those Americans, they'll think it's something different, which apparently many did. Anyway, and so that's why you got all these things like Dominion Bank, Dominion Luncheonette and Catering, Dominion Bridge, in Canada, Dominion hamburger chain, Dominion root beer, Dominion beer, Dominion wine, Dominion bubblegum, and then of course the United States, you got Federal Bank, the Federal Bridge, Union, Federal Savings and Loan, Federal breath mints, Federal hairspray, Federal Express delivery service, and etc. All right. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, BC's Beer Reviews. Now, whether it's a bottle or can, I'm going to be reviewing these, but they're both bottles because you don't typically see whiskey in cans, although you can get it in cans in some places. All right. You would think that Crown Royal would win, especially when you're paying all that good money. But sometimes you can be surprised. I put the links below for the website listing. There is also a McAdams light Canadian whiskey. It's like 30% alcohol. I've never had a light whiskey. Now I paid $7.99 for this liter bottle at Total Wine and More in Metairie, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find a liter price for Crown Royal. $22.99, so $23 for the regular size bottle. Yep, that's the same here. Oh, it doesn't look like they sell liters at that store. I mean to say. Yeah, oh well. You can find them. Not Crown Royal Black. Crown Royal Black liter is $43.99. Oh well. Oh well. Well, it's going to be at least $28 for a liter bottle of Crown Royal, and you'd be lucky if you find it for that. So we're talking about a huge price difference. $7.99 for the Prestige Beverage Group's McAdams, and apparently it's always been made for them because I looked at that original bottle, say Princeton, Minnesota, where they brought it in from Canada. Now I got a deal on this. I got a gift set, 2 glasses, which I only broke one of them so far, and that took no effort. It wasn't a mistake of like knocking it over something. I just had them stacked, and when I pulled them apart, glass came off. I said, these must be so cheap. I said they're like clay more than glass, and my friend David said, why do you think they're in a gift pack? Nice glasses, though. Pretty design, at least. So I got one left. Then I had my Buchanan's glass. It was pretty glass. I broke one. That was my fault. Sure was disgusted to see that thing shatter. Wasn't anybody's fault but mine. All right. So, McAdams. How's it going to do in this taste series? I don't know. I got Crown Royal Black the next time, Saturday morning. Now, see, that won't be confusing because you know Crown Royal Black is going to taste different because it's 90 proof. Might be aged longer. There's 90 proof. So you're not going to confuse a 90 proof with an 80. Well, sometimes you do, but usually you won't. This Crown Royal is made with 50 different whiskeys. Now you say, yeah, but mostly grain whiskey, not malt whiskey. Well, that's probably true, but it's 50 different ones, so there's got to be something they're picking up on. Things you and I wouldn't detect. We're not blend masters, but those blend masters at Crown Royal Division, they taste and so what would seem to be odorless and colorless, it isn't to them. It is mainly, but they're picking up body and other factors that we don't detect. Could you be trained to do it? I guess, perhaps, probably. All right, and they blend them together. Like I said, oh heck, with no age statement. Probably because you got to go with the youngest age. You see, and they might be putting in there 10, 12-year-old whiskeys, but the young ones blended in might be only a year old. Oh, let's see, in Canada, it have to be 3, right? So, but you know what I mean? It might be some 3-year-old whiskeys aged with 23-year-old, maybe a small percentage. So they don't want to do that, so they just don't give an age statement. McAdams, they figure we only $7.99 a liter anyway. We got no shame. We getting passed over regardless, so we just say age 36 months. Jeep and Foodie checking in, Ron. Hello, Jeep and Foodie. All right. Now we have enough. I didn't have enough. I mean, I don't want to pour too much, but I don't want to have it to where it's so stingy I can't hardly taste them. James P. Madonna started that 7 chimes. Give credit where credit's due. Crown Royal's darker. Does that mean it's aged longer? Well, it might just have more caramel color added. I love these built-in pourers, though. They're so convenient, and it flows out perfectly. But you only get those I've seen in the handle bottles. Handle bottles are the best deal, but you're stuck with a lot of the product. That's the only problem. That's the trade-off. You get the best price per ounce almost every time, but then you're stuck with a whole lot of it. See, the 750 bottles are the perfect size. You get enough to really taste it and go through it and progress through it and try and see how, if it changes, or if your perception of it changes over time and all these things, then it's gone and you say, oh, I've had enough of it. 750 milliliters, be gone, be gone. But the handle, then you're stuck with an extra 1,000 milliliters that you got to contend with. Now with Crown Royal, it's no problem. It's not a bad product. It's the benchmark anyway. If you say what would be the Canadian whiskey that everything should be compared against, compared and contrasted, with and against, it would be Crown Royal. It's the prototype Canadian whiskey. I didn't say it was the best one, but it's the most well known. Everybody who has any kind of experience with whiskey tasting, they're going to know that taste. It's like beer in America, you would say Budweiser, all right, and for light beer, Bud Light, and craft beer. Well, that we could go on and on because it depends on the style. And Irish whiskey, it's going to be Jameson. Scotch whiskey, it's going to be Johnny Walker. And if we're talking about single malt, it would be something like I was going to say, the Glenlivet 12 or Glenfiddich 12, something like that. Got these prototypes. And then you say, well, how is it relative to that? Canadian beer, it'd be like most people are going to say Molson Canadian. And then they would see how it does. Now, peanut butter, you'd say Jif or Skippy. And then, some people are going to lose perspective on that or not understand what you mean because they'll say, well, I have this obscure peanut butter from Alabama. It's great. It's $9 a jar, but it's like supernatural but that's not a prototype. Might be the best peanut butter in America, but it's not widely recognized. It's not even known about, so you couldn't use it as a benchmark. Jim Beam, you're going to use that as a bourbon benchmark, most famous bourbon. Jack Daniel's most famous American whiskey, which really is a bourbon, but they try to pretend like it isn't. But anyway, that's their problem, not mine. Or if it's a problem, they sell in so many millions of bottles a day. I guess it's not a problem. Ronaldo the Riot, cheers. Hello, BD. Brewski. Okay, here we go. Keep track of the time. It's just like these American blended whiskeys. Same old story, more or less. You get the oak, no kind of char notes, no charred oak, just oak, vanilla, grains. You say, what grains? Mainly, it is mainly corn. Might be some rye. With Canadian whiskey, could be a higher rye content. Or probably is a higher rye content. You're getting barley whiskey, single malt whiskey, as they call it in Scotland, barley malt whiskey. Now, I noticed some of those Irish whiskeys and Scotch, they'll use malted barley and unmalted barley to blend them together, which gives it they claim, an interesting thing. They might use wheat. But then American blended whiskeys could be the same thing. You understand? Predominantly corn spirits. Then they got these other things to give it flavor. Now, can Canadian whiskeys have blending sherry like an American blended whiskey? Sherry added, which is a type of wine, which is fortified with liquor, brandy usually. Yes, they can use that. And in fact, they're allowed to use even more things, up to 9.9%. Brandy, rum, bourbon, wine of all sorts. You could tell Crown Royal doesn't do that too much. They don't go buck wild with it. They're more reserved. Now, some of these cheaper Canadian whiskeys, it might have such a bland flavor. It's not that it's a bad flavor, really. It's just got no flavor, so they'll jack it up with all these. You could tell it got like white rum in it or something, make it taste like John and Illy said, almond extract or whatever. And now they just say wine. You say, well, what if it's port wine? What if it's Madeira wine? What if it's Marsala wine? What if it's sherry wine? What if it's Merlot wine? Well, yeah, they didn't say what kind of wine. And the regulations, I didn't even read where it said it could not be a combination of them. So that's why these Canadian whiskeys get some strange flavors. But I think the regulations still state that it has to have the flavor and aroma and character generally associated with whiskey. See, so it couldn't be too far off. Like, it couldn't be a whiskey that tastes like, like port wine. Because Canada, the government of Canada, just like the government of the United States, they want the products from the country to taste like people expect. Like, oh, whiskey should taste like whiskey. Rum should taste like rum, and so forth. Now, how do you quantify that and legalize that and regulate that? Well, it could be difficult. Aroma. I'm trying not to look down because I know the Crown Royal is darker. Aroma, no difference, honestly. Does Crown Royal smell better than McAdams? I don't even see where it smells different. Same what I just described, grains, this fermented and distilled grains. The appearance, well, okay, the McAdams is lighter and the Crown Royal is darker, but they both look nice. It's just one's lighter, one's darker. Cheers. Okay, now the taste. It just tastes like whiskey, like same, when I say whiskey, like the same old thing, like the vanilla, the oak, the grains, multi-grains, a little rye spicy bite, a spicy note, medium bodied, medium long finish. They're always the same, like they almost never vary. It's like the same, it's like you're drinking the same thing, but from 50 different bottle designs and label designs. And I'm not trying to be negative on that. I'm just saying they tend to be very. Are there differences between the Canadian whiskey brands? There are differences. Are the differences appreciable? I wouldn't say so. Is the quality that different? Not really. Is the price, is there a big divergence in price? Now, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now, that's the question of the hour. Do you really want to pay $24 for a bottle when you could buy another one for $8? My feeling about it so far is I wouldn't do it. Now, have I tried those really high grade Crown Royals? Well, I've tried the bourbon mash. That's a great product. Really, it should go up against bourbons. It is a bourbon, basically, but they can't call it that because it has to come from the United States to be a bourbon. So they were kind of like skating on thin ice with that and pushing the envelope. So invariably, these U.S. bourbon people threw a fit, and so they had to change the name to Blender's Mash. But it's basically Crown Royal saying, well, if we made a bourbon, this is what ours would taste like. And then you taste it and you say, wow, it tastes remarkably the same as bourbon. Which in general isn't that different than Canadian whiskey to start with. So, I'm going to put it in the taste challenges, but it's just not going to be, it's not that much higher grade. You'll pay a little more for it, but not a whole, maybe $4 more per bottle. Crown Royal Black is a higher proof, stronger. It's like Crown Royal Super or Crown Royal Extra. So that'll run you a little bit more too, about $4 or $5 more a bottle. And so that'll be, I don't know if it'll be better, but just by virtue of its alcohol level, I'll probably be able to tell it apart. Then it got all these other Canadian brands. It's like a big old mixture. I ran out of Canadian Limited, and I ran out of Canadian Mist, and I ran out of Canadian Rich and Rare. I might have a little bit left of Rich and Rare Reserve, but I think that's gone also. So, but like I say, it's all just like mix. I got Seagram's VO still left there. The VO Gold is getting low, but I got it. Caliber still hanging in there. Well, I got a lot of Caliber. Oh man, they had that sale, so I don't know if I'll ever get that bottle that John Anile. As time goes on, but he'll probably get it. He doesn't care if he gets it. He doesn't even really want it, but we'll see. All right, taste. I know I'm not tasting a $15 difference. I'll tell you that much. And it's really more than $15 because you understand we're talking about a liter for $7.99. So if I found a $7.50, it would probably be $5.99. So the price difference here is so huge that it's incredible. Yeah, got nut oil like pecan oil, walnut oil, sugar, sweetness, what you call that, honeysuckle nectar, and all of these things. Just regular old stuff. Notice I didn't talk about any negative, off-putting, disgusting, or unpalatable notes, did I? No, I didn't. This one tastes more grain and less nut oil, which probably means less flavorings added, but there's more bite to it. So at the end, it's like a little bitey, which makes me think it's a little Crown Royal-y. Crown Royal can have that. It ain't the world's most smoothest thing. But then again, what are people doing with Crown Royal? Drinking it neat? I don't think so. First thing they talk about on the website is, look at all our cocktail ideas. Crown and Coke, Crown and this, Crown and that. And then they're hurrying up and showing you all the flavors. The peach, the apple, the honey, and every kind of other flavor that they're coming out with all the time. Oh, well, why do you think all those flavors are popular? Because that's what people want. They want it flavored. They don't want to taste the pure Crown Royal, which is a little bitey, maybe a little rough. So the whole mindset with that is cocktails and then the flavors. Now, do they have more a sipping whiskey lineup? Yeah, what they call the prestige line. The XR, the XO, the Reserve, and it's going to be way more expensive than what I'm talking about right now, up to like $150. The XR, I think, which I guess stands for something like extra regal or whatever. I can get it. I will get it at one point. I plan on it. Mathern has I saw somebody buying it for $150. So you would hope that it would be much more developed, and I don't see why it wouldn't be. All right, so which one tastes better here? Which one's nicer? And remember, neither one of these are designed for sipping neat. At a minimum, they're really saying add ice, and optimally, it's for cocktails, highballs, and all of that sort of thing. So just by doing a straight tasting at room temperature, I'm sort of violating their whole reason for existence. Large companies focus on consistency once they find their hallmark flavor. You're right. And they want everyone to taste like every other one. If you buy a Crown Royal anywhere in the world, it had better taste like a Crown Royal anywhere else in the world. It's not supposed to be exotic. They don't want to hear about, well, we had a bad batch. See, if they have a bad batch, that means all kind of people are going to get fired. All right. The president of the company might have to resign, of the division, president of Crown Royal division. So they're not playing games with that kind of stuff. See, it's like Anheuser-Busch. They bringing in samples of Budweiser from the 12 breweries every day at 3 o'clock Central Time. I guess Monday through Friday. And they tasted them up there in that schoolhouse building. Used to be a school on the brewery site, but it's an office now. What they don't want to taste is aberrations. They don't want to taste uniqueness. They want to taste sameness. Every 12 beers should taste like every other 12 beers samples. And they need to be, and they fly those in. That's money, huh? They need to be totally within that tolerance. And I guess the tolerances are pretty tight. I mean, they'll have some. It can't be totally 100% perfect. Nothing can be. But it had better be within that target, that bullseye, or somebody's getting in trouble. So do we want more exotic and exciting flavors in the craft beer world and the prestige whiskey world and all of that? Well, yeah, we do. Of course. But then you might be dealing with a product that only sells a few bottles a year, not something that sells a few thousand every hour. But I don't have to explain that because you should have enough sense to realize that. You know that. Same thing with Big Macs, and whatever. It doesn't matter. Honestly, and I have no reason to not be honest, I think honesty is the best policy. This one tastes a little better. It's smoother, has a little bit more of the caramel flavor or candy flavor or what you want to call nougat flavor. I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of flavor. It's nicer. And I really think it's the McAdams. But McAdams got they got nowhere else to go. Their baseline has to be good because there is no, there might be, but they don't have it on the website. There's no McAdams XO or McAdams Barrel Select. There's McAdams and McAdams Light Whiskey, and that's all you get. And that's fine. All right, so here we go. How I feel. Well, it's the Crown Royal. Well, you don't know what's going to happen until you do the challenge. And I thought I had it, but I have no experience with McAdams, except this is the second time I've tasted it, and that's not a lot of experience. So the McAdams had the harsher thing going on, more of a kind of unpleasant bite. And it was the Crown Royal that was smoother. The Crown Royal that had the more flavorings flavor. Okay. All righty. Well. How do you like that? Well, what do you know? So Crown Royal won. Now, is it worth $15 more per bottle every time you buy? I don't know about that. Now that's a question you have to answer. You're the consumer. I don't know if I'm going to want to pay $15 more. Because is it $15 better? I'm not sure about that. But it is clearly better. It's clearly better. There's a honey. That's the taste I was looking for. Honey. Yeah, honey. So is Crown Royal better than McAdams? Well, I think it is. I got it wrong, but I don't, like I say, in my defense, I don't really have any experience with McAdams. But I'm going to start remembering, you see. Going to remember. Harsh little bite. Not extremely harsh or anything such as that. But there's a little ragged edge to it where you say, well, it's only 3-year age. What do you expect? Well, that's what I expect. If they have a bad batch, then all they need to do is blend it with all the good batches and nobody will be able to tell. Craft beer-tastic. That's probably what they do. But the thing is, that's going to take time and going to put their schedule off track a little bit. And so they probably don't want that. They probably say, no, we don't want to have to do all these little extra things to cover our mistakes. So they're probably telling these brewmasters at the 12 breweries, Jacksonville, Houston, Merrimack, New Hampshire, etc. You're getting paid a lot of money. You got a degree in food science, a master's degree in it from these universities. Do it right. Just do it right. You know, we don't want to hear about, well, the weather was bad. We don't want to hear about it. Just do it. So is that a job with a lot of pressure? And well, yeah, it is. Because I've talked to people that work for the distributor for Anheuser-Busch, our local distributor, and they were always under pressure. Like it seemed like they were harassed all the time, you know, like always stressed out, under pressure, people on their back, getting treated kind of rough, you know. They got paid more, but see, they get more money than the Miller and Coors people. I know that much. They always get more money. But the Miller Coors people, they like more relaxed. They just kind of lackadaisical relative to the Budweiser people. I'm serious. They'd be like, oh, well, it's only a week out of date, you know. Whereas the Anheuser-Busch people would be like, it's a priority emergency alert if they find something a week out of date. Because then there's a terrifying realization that what if the quality assurance people came through the town? Well, they said it. One guy told me secretly, he said, we call each other. If the QA people are on, they like say, oh, the guys from St. Louis are here. Because what they'll do, they just fly them in and they walk around looking at stores, going through the stores. He said, but they can always tell those guys because they always kind of have the same demeanor. And nobody else goes in the grocery store and is rummaging through all the beer looking at dates. They know who it is. So they'll call each other. Hurry up, pull the bad dates. They're here, you know, and they get all like freaked out. But like I say, that's them. The Miller people, they're like, maybe their quality team comes in and says, it's only a week out of date. I mean, that's just the impression I get. They're not that worried about it. So does that tell me that Anheuser-Busch probably has a little better quality control regimen? Well, you can figure that out on your own, right? I bought some natural ice 2 days ago. That stuff is so fresh. It's like 3 weeks old. I don't think it's 3 weeks old. Maybe it's 3 weeks old now. But it's like fresh. Like you can always find them like weeks old. A lot of other companies, you say, well, it's only 2 months old, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, thanks for watching this video production. Sorry I got it wrong, but I have to learn. And the only way you learn is through experience. And I'm getting some experiences at dawn. So what's coming up next? Well, obviously Crown Royal Black versus McAdams. You would hope, you would think, you would pray that the black would win. You would assume so. And then coming up Sunday morning, we planning to do the Crown Royal Bourbon Mash. I don't see how in the world that could be any kind of way confusing to me. The Crown Royal Bourbon Mash should hit the ball out the ballpark. Should be a runaway. Really, it should be a blowout. So sorry, McAdams, but I don't think you got any kind of chance against that. And there's some other ones, you know, you just know it's not going to win, like Seagram's VO Gold. The price for that's been dropping, by the way. I think it's because it really is discontinued. And they got so much backstock, but I think Sazerac is saying, look, just get it out of here. You know, we got it. It's coming to an end, and we want it out. But, you know, Sazerac's a creative kind of different thinking company, so they could bring it back, but I don't think they're going to, you know. But anyway, shout out to the fellow food scientist, says B Aviation. Time to gaze into the reflection well for a little while. Yeah. 211 Steel Reserve was amazing. Amazing? A lot of people would say amazingly bad, but the 6% is amazingly smooth and mellow, I gotta say. But nobody can get the 6% pretty much. I had a bad beer once from Mathern's. What? I returned it and let the manager know so they could pull the rest of them. Oh, well, that store chain, that grocery chain is pretty good about that. You know, like, oh, yeah. Now, Winn-Dixie is good about, they'll like tell you they're going to do it. Like, oh, yeah. Like I told the manager, I said, you got the wrong price over here for Evan Williams. I said, I'm not buying it today anyway. I'm just letting you know you got the handle price underneath the regular size bottle, you know, the 750, which was supposed to be like $10.99. I said, but you got the $21.99 price, but you got it twice. You got the tag under the handle for $21.99, and you got the tag under the regular bottle for $21.99. I said, no customer is going to come in here and buy Evan Williams Green Label, which is not even listed on their website, that cheapo product, for that kind of price. Oh, yes, sir. He says, yes, sir, we're going to take care of that. It was for 2 years before they changed that tag. I said, that's a pitiful thing. Went 2 years, they had that high price wrong tag under the Evan Williams Green Label, and they looked like they never sold a bottle. And finally, probably what really happened was the distributor came in and lackadaisically noticed the error, probably Southern Glacier or Republic National, and said, oh, let's change it. Oh, no wonder we didn't sell a single bottle of Evan Williams Green Label for 2 years. You know, and I think at Walmart, and we all criticize Walmart incessantly, do we not? I think an error like that would last a week, like literally a week, and they would catch it. And then over there down the street, up the street, is going to last for 2 years. 2 years. Wow. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not making a joke. It's like people are saying, you drank that whiskey this morning. You're talking crazy. You drank the 2 whiskey. No, that's what happened. I didn't care because I wasn't buying Evan Williams Green Label again anyway. It's just, every time I go to Winn-Dixie, I'd look at that and I'd shake my head like, these people here, man. It's like attention to detail to me is important with management. But do you get that all the time? I think we know the answer to that question. Thanks for watching this video production.